Welcome in, builders. Today we're going to take a light look at Pelagia Pearl Kings, a nation that has some absolutely cool lore, and they're tied in with a lot of other cool nations. But I would argue that this nation, of everything else in early age, feels the most incomplete. And I'm including even the newest of nations and nations that otherwise people complain about. I feel like this is definitely first place in that category. Let's take a look and see if we can figure out what's going on here. Pelagia was the first kingdom to form in the depths. It is a nation of Tritons, humanoid beings with fin-like legs. The Tritons of the Coral clan and the Pearl clan have formed a kingdom and allied themselves with mermen. Under the wise rule of the ancient Pearl Kings, they dominate the oceans and harvest their riches. Pearls, corals, kelp silk, and purple dyes are traded at coastal markets in Baratos, and before that in Therados. But recently, other races have been stirring in the depths, and a new power is forming. The wild beings of the kelp forest have spread, strange beings have emerged from the deepest seas, and the ghosts of ancient Therados are stirring. The Pearl Kings must muster their forces, and the Tritons of the turtle and shark tribes have joined forces with the Triton kingdom. Tritons are unable to leave the sea, but mermen can shed their tails and walk on dry land to trade or wage war. The extensive trade with Baratos has given Pelagia a much-needed ally. In the few coastal cities that Pelagia has built, Baratotian infantry have helped in their defense. Over time, the mermen have adopted Baratian and Theridian culture and tactics. Now, there are few Baratian soldiers left in the cities, and Pelagia fields its own merman infantry. Both Tritons and mermen have mages, but only the merman mages can leave the sea. So pretty cool lore there, tied in with a lot of cool nations, and they kind of doing their own thing. And it is right. This is definitely one of the big powerhouses underwater in the early age. For national features, we are a race of underwater/aquatic. Military, we have aquatic Tritons and amphibious mermen. We have light infantry, medium infantry, and we have sacred aquatic infantry. Magic-wise, we are very strong in water, astral, some nature. We have a little bit of air and earth. Some of our mages become weaker when they get on dry land. We lose some pathing. Mages can convert water gems into astral pearls. We have a special ability for that. Priest-wise, we are powerful, but we're weak on dry land. For scales and blesses, we get an order limit of +1, meaning we can take order up to 3, but turmoil only down to 1. We have the standard forts both above water and below for the age. Sight-wise, we have the Palace of Pearls, allows us to get our cap-only mage, our cap-only sacreds, and recruit the Ichthyid Pearl Mage. For gems, we would get 4 water and 2 nature. 4 water is pretty good. Water gems are king underwater. Water elemental spam is very, very good, and there's lots of decent battlefield magic you can do underwater with some gems. Once we go above water, however, they're a lot less useful. And that's where our ability to convert water gems into astral comes into play. Units and sacreds. As you can see here, we have quite a variety of troops. However, it's not actually as good as it looks. Many of these troops are amphibian only, so unless you're playing on some sort of water world map, they're going to have kind of limited use, and doubly so if you over-recruit your aquatic troops and you conquer the ocean and have not won the game, you don't have a way to get rid of those troops to get rid of their upkeep so you can switch over to troops that are now actually useful. Pretty big hit, actually. That is a pain point. All right, let's take a look at what we got. Many of these you have probably fought as underwater independents, and some of them are pretty good too. First up, we have the Pelagian Militia, not one of those ones. This is the standard chassis for a Pelagian. They are aquatic. They have slightly more than human hit points, slightly higher strength. This one in particular is Militia, so he's not well trained. And he is wielding a coral spear. Coral weapons are pretty darn good. This is a length 3, and it has a weak poison that is armor negating. So you have to scratch somebody, but if you do damage, you can get the weak poison going. Pretty darn good, at least. as with all militia, your use cases are pretty low, just basically filling up forts or sieging forts. And for that, they're at least okay because of their extra strength. Next up, we have Pelagian Militia. This one is wielding a coral knife instead of a spear. I would say this is far less useful. At least the spears have a chance to repel. Same with the other one, is a coral weapon that has the weak poison. Next up, we have the Turtle Tribe Triton. Turtle Tribe are all right. This one is specifically a Triton, however, who is aquatic only. He's wielding the coral spear, and he is wearing a turtle shell hauberk and uses a turtle shell shield. So for underwater, this is decently protected. Nothing to write home about, but he's not terrible either. He's better trained than the militia, obviously. His hit points are down to 10, and his strength is down to 10, however. Yeah, okay, they're usable as just like a frontline troop, I suppose. Coral spears are decent, but I don't love it. Next up, we have the Shark Tribe Triton. Shark Tribe are surprisingly killy. For anyone who's had to do some underwater expansion with a nation who's not good at it, these guys are just the stuff of nightmares. They have basically human level stats. However, they have Berserk and 3 attacks. So when they go Berserk for the +2, they have 3 attacks at +13, and they're dual wielding coral knives. So with 13 damage, they probably can get a stab in, since people underwater generally are not too armored, and they're going to get lots of poison stacking up, and they have a bite. These things are absolute terrors. They're going to have high attrition, but they're going to take you down with them. Next up, we have a Pelagian Soldier. This one, unfortunately, is not wearing armor, but good hit points at 15. He's aquatic only, unfortunately. He's been trained pretty decently. He's okay. No armor kind of sucks. So I don't know how much I would use him. Next up, we have the Merman Net Thrower. Now, this one I actually do like. Why do I like him? Simply because at least he's amphibious. So a few of these guys like to filter in behind your main line, or maybe to flank on the sides and throw out their nets, can really help out some of the kind of mid attack that a lot of our troops have. Things that are netted lose their defense, so thus they are very, very easy to stab with, say, a coral spear. Can be pretty nice in that, at least. Next up, we have a Turtle Warrior. Now, this one can also be recruited in coastal forts. Again, he is amphibian. This is a huge deal to me. Human-like stats, again, like most of our troops, very cheap. 11 gold, 9 resources, 12 recruitment points. He's got not only the coral spear that we've been seeing, but he also has some coral-tipped javelins. So I will definitely take these over a regular javelin, having the extra poison damage on top of it. In addition, he's actually relatively well armored. Turtle shell hauberk, a turtle cap, and turtle shell shield. This is important because he's amphibious, so he's going to go up on land. He will probably deal with ranged troops, and this is okay. 10 protection's fine in the early age. He's not miserable with his weapon. He does have a shield and a hat. I like Turtle Warriors. And you're going to have to learn to love them too, because when it's time to come out of the sea, these are basically our 2 main choices. Next up, we have a Coral Clan Soldier. If only this guy was amphibious. If only. So 13 gold, 15 resources, 16 recruitment. 16 HP is pretty darn good for a human-sized troop. Extra strength, he is well trained. He's well equipped with a coral hauberk, a coral cap, and a turtle shell shield, giving him 13 protection, 12 on the body. Pretty darn nice. Like I said, he's aquatic, so don't over-recruit these guys, because when you rule the seas, they're going to have nothing left to do. But while you are fighting down here, these are pretty nice. Poison Barbs 5 is pretty darn noticeable. So if you're fighting things that have a weapon length of 1 or 0, like Shamblers, for example, this will poison the heck out of them, and it's pretty decent. In addition, they're formation fighters, so you get 4 of these into a square. So a good length 3 weapon with good attack, and against short weapons, not only are you repelling, but if they do hit you, you have good protection and you poison them back. Very nice soldier here. Very disappointed he is not amphibious. Next up, we have the Triton Rider. Again, a pretty decent troop. He's wielding a coral lance. He's aquatic only, unfortunately. He does have recuperation, which is pretty nice, and skilled rider. He's using a halberd and a shield. He's riding a hippocampus. This is kind of like the olicorn type horse thing, seahorse thing. I don't even know what to call this. Again, aquatic only, but he does have recuperation. That's pretty nice. He is an animal, and he is a smart mount, meaning that they will go home more often than regular mounts. Now, as usual, we are let down by our mount with 3 protection. So, 11 defense, 3 protection. You ain't making it back home, Seahorsey. Does have 2 attacks, one of which is magic. I do like these guys. I like to do hold and attack rear or hold and attack closest with a few of these. Underwater combat tends to be very stabby, and it also tends to have a lot of flanks, weirdly enough. So I like them. They have really good combat speed at 30. Man, if only we had some barding. If only we had some barding. Next up, we have the Pearl Guard. This is our cap-only Sacred. Again, pretty darn nice troop. Sacred, aquatic, have the poison barbs, have formation fighter, and bodyguard. We're using a Pearl Spear. This is pretty nice. It's a length 3 magic weapon. We're pretty good with it. We are wearing the coral gear, and we have a Pearl Shield, which is a decent shield. Again, pretty usable. This is fine. Like, it's not a great Sacred in the early age, but 16 HP, a decent stat line. Okay, I'll play. But we're aquatic only. So what are you going to do once you've conquered the seas? You haven't won the game because there's only going to be a couple thrones down here. Then you just have these guys and their 8 gold per year upkeep sit around and guard your capital, guard a throne, I suppose. That's the problem with this nation. Our good stuff cannot get above the water. Next up, we have some coastal fort recruits. So these are only once you get on land and build a fort. So remember, we do have turtle warriors who we can get up there. We do have merman net throwers who can join us up on the surface. And then we have these 2 guys. So we have the Pelagian shore fighter. Note here, he is a poor amphibian. So while we are amphibious and can go below water, we're not good at it. And we have weapons, and I believe this gear, I want to say, no, I guess they're not tagged as iron, but our spear is. So your spear will rust if you go underwater. In addition, as a poor amphibian, those are some pretty nasty penalties for an already pretty mediocre stat line. I would not go underwater with these guys unless maybe I'm just going underwater to move, but I'm not planning on doing anything underwater. That would be okay. If you go back to a fort and you chill there, you can repair rusted weapons and gear, including broken stuff. But I don't know. They're okay. They're like I think, slightly worse Baratosian fighter, light infantry. 10 protection's fine. They are wearing a hat. They do have a shield. They have a spear. They have a javelin. They're okay, but they're nothing great. Like, this is the cheap troop that you use to expand with, and then you move on to something better for most nations. Finally, we have the Sideraspist. Can only be recruited in coastal forts. This is, again, a very Baratos type troop. We have a long spear. We are a poor amphibian. We are actually pretty decently equipped here. Scale mail halberd. Note this is iron, so this will definitely rust. We have the hoplite helmet and a shield. 15 protection, which is 13 on the body, is pretty decent. Of your above water troops, these are the ones I would probably lean into the most. Maybe a few light troops to screen or to try to flank, or maybe a few net throwers if you're having trouble with some high defense things. Note here, we only have 10 attacks, so we're not stupendous with it. We're also not formation fighters, so we don't have like special attack density or anything. And this is one of the first problems of this nation. We have 4 above water troops and none of them are spectacular. They're okay at best. Okay. And as we look at our mage line, we also don't have great mages to go on land either. So winning the game, you better have an amazing early underwater takeover. take everything, hope you have another underwater nation that you can take their capital, and then hope you can get some coastal forts up early and just drown the world in troops, I guess, while researching a really big astral spell that you will have to communion up to cast. So we'll take a look at that when we move up here, but overall, not a very impressive troop lineup. We do great underwater. We have some good stuff here. We can counter a lot of the other stuff that things down here are doing in the early age. But once we've won the ocean, what do we do? Heroes, commanders, and profit. For heroes, we have one hero. Just one. And he's aquatic. Ouch. He is cool. He is good. Air 3, Water 4, Astral 3, Nature 1, Priest level 3. He is a adept researcher. He's got 31 research. He summons in the Alicorns. But he's old age and aquatic, so what are you going to do with him that you couldn't already do? I suppose you do have the air magic, and he is our best astral mage. But yeah, I think if nothing else, some sort of like multi-hero amphibian leader would have been way more useful for this nation. Big disappointment there. We have a pretty healthy lineup here. First up, we have the Merman Scout. The Merman Scout is amphibious. Otherwise, he's a relatively normal scout, a little higher on HP, I suppose. Only 35 gold, 50 stealth is fine. I guess it should be said, he does have a net, and for some reason, he has our really nice weapon. We gave him a Pearl Spear, so he has a magic weapon. I don't know how we would use that for anything interesting, but it's notable that a scout has a magic weapon and a net. Next, we have a Turtle Chief. The Turtle Chief is an amphibian. He's using our coral gear along with the turtle shell stuff. He's okay. A 75 leader, so that's fine. That's fine. One recruitment point. He's not very expensive is his kind of gig. Next up, we have the Pelagian Captain. This is aquatic only. He has the poison barbs. He's a much better leader at 100. I definitely like 100 more than the 75 guy. However, handicapped by being aquatic only. Next up, we have the Merman Priest. So this is our aquatic priest. He's just a regular priest level 1 sacred. He does come in at 65 gold, so he is cheaper than an independent. Next, we have the Pearl Clan Priest. This is our aquatic priest, who is a priest level 2, otherwise not very notable. Next, we have a Pelagian Mermage. The Pelagian Mermage comes in with 1 water and a random of air, water, earth, or nature. This is okay. Being underwater, we can water power. Once we go above water, though, what are you doing? What are you doing? Not a whole lot, unfortunately. Some minor self-buffing, some very minor evocations, I suppose. Not a lot going on here, guys. Not a lot going on. 9 research for 108 gold is not even efficient. Next up, we have the Pearl Mage. This is a better mage, however, aquatic only. He has 2 water, 1 astral, 1 nature, and a random of air, water, astral, nature. So pretty good pathing here. And underwater, that's pretty strong. You could jump into communion. You could do some water elementals. You can cast other water stuff. In a communion, you could cast some bigger nature things, do some summoning maybe. Useful enough. 15 research for 220 gold a year, though. Not efficient. Not very efficient. He does provide supply bonus because he has nature magic, and this is our first guy who has Pearl Cultivator. He has Pearl Cultivator 3. This unit can grow magic pearls in the process involving clams, magic, and water gems. The amount of water gems needed is the same amount as the astral pearls gained. So, if we take a look at somebody who can do that for me, cultivate pearls. This is an order. So you get 1-to-1. So I would get 3 astral pearls for 3 water gems here. However, you can see it's the 3 there. It takes a full mage turn. So would I do it if I wanted astral pearls? Yes. However, that means you're not researching with your expensive mages. That stings a little bit. That stings. They're already not efficient, and now we're going to take them off of research to do something else? Yikes. Next up, we have the Ichthyid Pearl Mage. This is a cap-only amphibian. He has Water 1, Astral 1. These guys are actually kind of important because at least they're amphibians that can get above water, and then we can communion up and do either something with Astral or something with water. Water 1, Astral 1. I should not be excited about that. We're also an inept researcher, so for 88 gold a year, we only get 7. Again, not up to standards for efficiency. For our big cap only mage, we have a Pearl King. Super cool unit here. So 4 water, 1 astral, 1 nature, priest level 3. So we have a recruitable priest level 3. Nope, water, aquatic only. And he gets a random of 100% air, astral, or nature. And I will call this out specifically because it's different. 10% air, water, nature, astral. So a very strong mage. He also comes in at cold resistant. He's a good pearl cultivator, although if you're going to do that, use your cheaper mage, not a slow to recruit cap only. 695 gold to recruit, by the way. 287 upkeep for a whopping 19 research. Womp womp. In addition, he also has Dominion Monster Summoner. These are these. They get Hippocampus. I mean, it's free chaff, I suppose. Free chaff that doesn't have upkeep, so you're not going to at least cry about that when you have no use because you've conquered the ocean. Yeah, that's rough. I think this is a strong candidate for wanting a Amulet of the Fish or a Shambler skin so that we can get up to the surface. I believe on the surface we lose a water path. So yeah, and even then, like, this is okay, but not stellar. I mean, what are you going to do? Drop Falling Frost, I suppose? And that's okay for him, but notice when we talked about troops, nothing else in here has cold resist or anything. So, and not even high protection for the things that can go on land. So, yeah, that's going to be some danger close magic for sure. Next up, we have our coastal fort recruits. We have the Pelagian Shore Commander, 75 leadership. He is a poor amphibian and he has a short sword. Nothing to write home about. I personally think the Turtle Chief is probably better. At least his gear's better. And we have the Pelagian Explorer. A really cool concept. I love the idea that like they have these brave men who explore this unknown realm of the surface. Like I love that theme there. Like I just have the idea of like old like science fiction with people going like 2,000 leagues under the sea or something, but it's the opposite where they're going on land. I think that's just kind of cool. That being said, this guy is actually pretty decent. So water 1 and a random of air, earth, astral, nature. He's amphibious and he's an adept researcher. So for 11 research, it costs us 84 per year. So finally, we have something that's efficient and we can random into some air and make Alquills. So at least that's not too miserable. But do note, this is a coastal recruit. You can't get them underwater. So I think you're seeing a pattern here. We suck on land. Like, we really suck. Some bad water magic. Some astral that's not impressive. Some leaders that are whatever. They're nothing to write home about. I'm not really seeing a lot of thug potential here. No super combatants. Yeah. Ouch. A big ouch from me on this one. Who are you going to make your prophet? Well, I would definitely say you want your prophet to be a full amphibian. So a scout, perhaps. A turtle chief. I think this is who I went with in this game. An Ichthyid Pearl Mage. One of those, probably. And you're probably going to want to get them early. Like, you probably don't want to wait until you have a surface fort to get one of these guys, because you want to get your dominion spreading so you can get your dominion above water, so you can fight in your own dominion above water with our relatively mediocre troops. So just sad times all around. Really cool, really powerful underwater. And then we just completely flop like a dead fish once we hit land. National items and spells. As for national items, we have no national items. As for national spells, we have no national spells. Illwinter, did you forget to add some spells? I literally did a double take because I'm like, I'm obviously missing something. I went to the inspector and I'm like, they're obviously missing something. I came into game and I right clicked and checked every single spell. We have no national spells, not even Sloth of Bears or Summon Lions or Sea Lions or something. I don't know. We literally have nothing special. What the heck? Where is like a special astral spell? Where is a special like air breathing ritual or enchantment or something? Very disappointing. Very disappointing here. Magic wise, in this game, I went with an Awake Expander to get on land ASAP. So research wise, I researched along that path. You're probably going to need some alteration so that you can get some self protection. You're going to probably need Enchant 2 so that you can get some personal regen, and then Conjuration so that you can summon Earth Power. Along the way, you're going to want Summon Water Power. You're going to want some of the water stuff, water elementals especially. In Alteration, there's some decent water stuff here. In Evocation, Slime can be used underwater. Geyser can be used underwater. Although we don't not natively cast that. We have some various things we can do. Falling Frost is probably our best spell on land. I'm not too excited about that. Construction-wise, you're going to need to go up to 4 or probably to 5. At Construction 5, you can get your Amulet of the Fish. If you forge, trinket. So for construction, you're going to need Amulet of the Fish. It gives air breathing, or you're going to need to do Shambler Skin Armor, which gives you air breathing. One of those two will let you get on land. I'm pretty sure they work on the Triton Kings. I don't see why they wouldn't. They do have the slots, but they're not super impressive, and I'm pretty sure they're going to lose a path there. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that affects him if he gets up there. So yeah, very disappointing there. I think magic-wise, your best bet is to look at your Astral. Just because we can get relatively spammable Astral, and then we just make a big communion to do something. What is the something? Early on, you could do some Mind Burns. Then you can move into Soul Slay. Then I think your main goal is Master and Slave. You're literally just looking for a billion guys to get into a humongous communion and cast Master and Slave, because I don't know what else you're gonna do. If we peek through here, none of this is game winning, and we're gonna have to be in a huge communion to do this. So you can't just like count on doing that fight after fight after fight. At least with Master and Slave, you'll get extra troops, and maybe you can get some other mages to do something different. But yeah, this is rough. This is super duper rough. We can spam Body Ethereal. There you go. That's something, right? Okay, so bringing it all together, we are a nation that is very strong underwater, and we have great counters to the other things that are going to be underwater. If we have surface nations that are trying to get down here, our aquatic troops will probably outdo whatever they're trying to use. Our mages underwater are very good. A Triton King underwater, he's going to spam water elementals all day, every day, forever. We have good water income. Along with that, another spell I should point out, Voice of Tiamat. This might even be rushable. You might even consider going to this very early. It's easy for us to cast. It only costs 8 water gems, which we have 4 per turn starting. And what this does is it searches for all elemental sites underwater. So our fire, earth, water, and air. And you can just spam this out and get everything underwater site searched. See, I haven't quite done that yet in this game. But you could easily do that. That should give you at least a handful of the other gems. You might need some air to make your amulets of the fish and your shambler skins. Extra water for just dominating the seas. And possibly turning into astral pearls. Earth gems, if you have some earth, if you luck into that, maybe you empower and then can do something with it. It's rough. It's going to be rough. I do think this is a nation where you want an awake expander. So we will look at him when we get there. But my game plan in this game was I had a group that started expanding underwater, and I immediately, like turn 3, I think, maybe even turn 2, I was up on land. I immediately got up here with my god to start taking land. So I believe in this, it was like 3, 4. I recruited somebody and built a fort, like on turn 5. Like I was that like dead set on doing this. I think it needs to be done. If you don't take in amphibious expander, you better get on land pretty early and get this rolling. Because if you're like year 2 trying to make landfall, the land nations already have everything. And they're not going to take kindly to you coming up here and trying to build a fort. Because they know you don't have any good troops underwater. So you need to get up there early so you can start recruiting. And as you can see, I'm using those long spear troops up here. And it's been a thing. I won't say it's been good, but it's been a thing. So, yeah. Also note with our 75 leadership, no formations. So, yeah, that's also painful. I think this is a nation that you want to look for good indies. I would be quite interested in finding some decent indies up here. That would help me out an absolute ton. Very, very sad to see that, unfortunately. As for your pretender, we don't have the most choices, although at least Underwater has some pretty different things. Down in our Dom 1, we have the Grand Hydromancer. He's unfortunately 100 points for us. I wish he was 80. I suppose it's probably because he's got Gem Generator. So a Water 1 Amphibian. So at least you have that. I do think it's very important on this nation to take an amphibious god. Otherwise, you'll only have your profit to claim thrones above land, which are going to be in high contention. So at least this way we'll have 2 guys that can do it if we're having trouble getting on land with Bishop Fish or with Triton Kings. He does give you water gem gen, so maybe you found something really powerful to do with some extra water gems, maybe? We have the Archmage. He's only 90 points. I like this guy. He's cool. He rides a giant lobster. However, he's amphibious. So to me, you're out. No good. We have Master Lich. We have Ghost King, usable. We have an Earth Serpent. He is amphibious, so you could do Earth Serpent things. We do have the Worm, though. We'll come back and look at him because I built a chassis out of him. That's who I'm using in my test game. I like this chassis from what our options are. Up in 3, we have various Sea Titans, and of course, always the present Demi-Lich. Up in Dom 4, we have some of the usual suspects here, the monoliths, some of the statues. Do note, if you take the monument is not teleportable, so don't think you can get him on land. We have the Protogenos of the Sea, a dude with like crab claws coming out of his head. Quite cool, but amphibious, so Ripperoni, you're out. He is at least affordable at 180. What you're going to do with that affordability, I don't know. But he's Dom 4 with Water 3. So maybe if you're going with like Awake Quickness, I guess. But we don't have Amphibious Sacred, so I don't know what you're going to do with Quickness. But it's there. Let's take a look at who I actually built. And I do actually like this guy. So at least we have at least one good pretender option. So this is Wriggles. Wriggles the Worm. Imagine not having 2 heads and being a worm. Plebes. On him, I went Awake. We went with Hardskin and Resilient. Hardskin was what I really wanted to take our protection higher. So with the Nature Magic, we're at 18. With the Hardskin, we are at 23. And then we can self-buff with either Nature or... with either Nature or Earth to get that up higher. In the game I have behind me, I think I'm up to 20... I think I'm at 28 with Iron Skin, personal Iron Skin cast. The reason I made him the way he is, you want Nature too so you can cast Personal Regen, which will stack with Regen from here. The Earth gives me enough to get Hard Skin. And of what I could get left, Resilient, just an extra HP was better than nothing. So he has decent HP because of our Earth, we also get affliction resistance, which is really, really handy. Afflictions are very bad on pretenders, and that helps a little bit at least. We do have fear. We do have poison resistance. That can be nice. A lot of things underwater do have poison if you end up fighting there. We are an amphibian, and we do come with regen. Let's actually hop back into that game, and we will look at him a little better so we can see scripts. Script-wise, right now I don't have Summon Earth Power yet. Once I get that, I would add that in here, I think. But he is using Personal Iron Skin, Breath of Winter, Moss Body, Personal Regen, he holds for a turn, and then he attacks closest. Let's see what that actually looks like. So here he is on. We are fighting Barbarians, a pretty scary one for a lot of pretenders. This is a lot of big damage, boys. 24 damage, 24 damage. So let's see how it goes. We've got Iron Skin. We're putting up Breath of Winter. Now we have a nice Cold Aura. We got our Moss Body. For anyone who doesn't know, that's not one I use a ton, but it's really good on the right chassis. Moss Body. This unit's protected by Magical Moss. The Magical Moss has a 75% chance of reducing incoming damage by 10 to 20 points. The moss will disappear in a cloud of poison if the unit is wounded. So if it fails to protect you, it breaks. We are poison resistant, so I've never seen him actually take poison from that, even when fights have gone relatively poorly. And then I think we're at our hold phase here. Another thing you could add is Liquid Body. Would help protect him from taking afflictions even more. So we are mainly focused on using our fear and our chill aura to get rid of people. However, we do have two pretty good attacks. That's nothing to sniff at. Death poison on the attacks if they somehow survive the first hit isn't bad. And we have two attacks, so generally speaking, we kill two things per round while we're working on the fear and the chill. And we'll just kind of give him a sec. So look at all that chip damage coming in, though. Buffed up, we are at 28 protection. So we are no slouch. We are no slouch. But they're still chipping through us. And we are in high dominion. So you just saw a tick there. 39 regen. Right now, we have 194 for our current maximum because we're in our own dominion. Do note, because we are a god, you have to stay in your own dominion or you start losing HP and the regen will get worse and worse and worse. So it's really important that we do not out expand that. You might have to stop and build temples or preach or something just to make sure that your god can keep expanding. So this was a bit of a nail biter. I do not like seeing 5s, 8s, 7. That makes me so nervous, but it was like this every time. So he has done all this land expansion. You can see here, he's got 4 stars of experience. He's made it. Somehow he has made it. I would not start expanding with him until you have personal regen, though. So if you need to stop and research it before you head out, do that. I think I did actually research for 1 or 2 turns, now that I'm thinking about it, to get that. Once I had personal regen, I was able to attack like militia or other light troops. And then once I had bark skin, I was a little more confident, and then stone skin, and then iron skin. So you do scale pretty well as you get research. That is nice. And with the pathings he has, he can do some summons up here once he has nothing else to do. He can cast some big earth stuff in some fights for us. Yeah, he won't be totally useless, but his main job is just to get us on land. And he has done all this. I don't think I've done any land expansion with an army in this one. So he's gotten all this. I did have to I was over here, I think. I had to kind of stop and wait for some Dominion to get pushed. And once it did, I was able to zoom over here. And if I remember right, yeah, I'm going to take this and then this as my plan. And just try to get this. I'm heading here to build another fort. I'm building a palisade here. So I'll have 3 on land. That'll be relatively hard to push us off once we have that. But, you know, a priest. Nobody with him. A guy going over there to build. A guy site searching. No mages. This is my mage core. I've got an expansion army down here that's finishing up the sea, and we do have a throne down here. However, this is probably only a tier 1 throne. So I'll have 1 of 10 points to win. Okay, this is, I mean, it's next to the sea, but am I going to be able to take that? That's going to be heavy losses. Okay. I can definitely do this one, but we're right next to Vanheim. So I'm probably going to have to fight Vanheim because I'm going to have 2 thrones bordering him. Okay, we take him out. We're up to, let's say, 5 points, 6 points, 7 points. Yeah, you're seeing how hard this is going to be. Like, yeah, this is a rough game. We just don't have the tools. We just don't have the tools to get on land. And I think that's why we haven't seen a ton of people talking about this nation. I think you play them for the flavor, not for their playability. Otherwise, let me know what you guys have come up with on Pretender designs. Like I said, this is about the only one I really liked. You could do Earth Serpent, but I think this guy was cheaper and he is better. So kind of a double whammy to Earth Serpent there. So he is 220 and the Earth Serpent is 240. So I definitely like this guy better than an Earth Serpent for the same price, or actually cheaper. That's half a scale of cheaper there. So yeah, just I'm so disappointed by this nation. I think you guys can probably hear it. Like, what a cool nation that's just been forgotten. Okay, for conclusion, I think you guys can probably see why I was uncomfortable trying to stream this nation. I just don't think the viewing experience is there. If I was gonna do it, I would make it a very light game, like 5 points to win, 7 points to win. I would not do a 10-point game. I think that's just asking for misery. Let me know, though. I know some people really like this nation, and the lore is so cool, and they're cool units, but they just cannot get on land. What I think would fix this nation, I think they should have a special ritual that gives them air breathing. Make it a global, so maybe somebody could even just spell it on you. But I think that would be something cool. Or give us some kind of like a national item that gives us air breathing that we could run around with, or something. Give us something there. It could tie into like the explorers, like inventing something so that they could bring their armies up on shore. I think that'd be pretty cool and pretty loreful and useful. I'm so let down by this nation. Let me know, though. Let me know. Maybe you guys know something I don't that makes them absolutely amazing. Maybe I've missed something. But all my research pointed to nobody plays this nation, essentially. Okay, well, I hope this was still useful for people. I do want to finish up. We have Oceania to go, and then I have finished every single nation getting a pre-game video in the early era. Go out there and farm some pearls, builder, because I don't know what else we're going to do down here. Enjoy the warm waters, I suppose. All right, I will catch you in the next one.